Wine's POV. I walked out of the office and headed directly to my car, not looking anywhere else, avoiding eye contact with everyone. My heart was pounding in my chest and I felt a knot in my stomach. What had I just gotten myself into? I couldn't shake the feeling that I had made a terrible mistake. I sat in the driver's seat and drove out of the parking lot as quickly as possible. I was scared to death. When he introduced himself, I felt as though the ground had dropped out from under me. His presence was intimidating, to say the least, but I kept my cool. Thank God that I had taken that analyst course in the past, otherwise I would be screwed. I never expected him to offer me the position on the spot. It was all happening so fast. I knew I should have been grateful, but instead I felt like a mouse caught in a trap. There was something about him, something mysterious and frightening, that made me want to run in the opposite direction. As I sat in the driver's seat and peeled out of the parking lot, I couldn't help but feel relieved to be away from him. But at the same time, I knew that my newfound access to him would bring me closer to something I wasn't sure I was ready for. The fear and uncertainty weighed heavy on me as I drove away, wondering that I had just gotten myself into. But I was also certain that I would con the living out of him. Thanks, POV. As she left the room, I found myself still staring at the door, lost in thoughts. The encounter had left me feeling a jumble of emotions, and I couldn't shake the feeling that something was off. She seemed too good to be true, and that made me uneasy. I knew better than to let my guard down, especially in this line of work. These emotions I was feeling, vulnerability, uncertainty, curiosity, were all the things I tried to avoid at all costs. But despite my best efforts, they were there, swirling around me like a storm. With a deep sigh, I reached for my phone and dialed my secretary number. Take care of the remaining interviews. I instructed him as I've gotten what I wanted. As I hung up the phone, I couldn't help but wonder what would come out of this encounter. Only time would tell. Next morning, Wine's POV. I got ready for work, taking extra care with my appearance. As I looked in the mirror, I felt confidence in the choice of attire. A pair of stylish ladies' coat pants that gave me a sleek and professional look. After breakfast, I made my way to the office building, determined to arrive on time. As I stepped inside, I approached the receptionist and asked for the direction to my new workspace. She smiled and pointed me in the right direction, and I thanked her before heading off. As I rounded the corner and caught sight of my cabin, my heart sank. I was right in front of his office, and even worse, it was see-through. I could feel the blood draining from my face as I realized that he would be able to see me all the time. This was not what I had signed up for. I tried to shake off the feelings of dread and stepped inside my new workspace. I couldn't let this setback get the best of me, but deep down, I couldn't help but wish for a way out. I went towards my seat and sat down to get familiar with my environment. Someone entered the cabin, catching my attention, and said, "Hello, myself Minu. Nice to meet you. I'm your cabin mate." "Hello, I'm Yumi. It's good to have you here. I won't feel alone, I guess." "Minu, of course, let me know if you need anything." "Wine, can you tell me who is going to assign me my work for today?" "Minu, don't worry, boss's secretary will come and assign you your work. They will be here any minute." "Wine, oh, okay." I couldn't help but feel relieved that I wouldn't be completely alone in this new environment, still trying to ignore the feeling of anxiety in my stomach. Just then, a commotion in the lobby caught our attention. I turned to see Taehyung himself walking in and followed by closely by his breathless struggle, struggling to keep pace with his long strides. My heart skipped a beat as I realized that this was the man I would be working under and against. As he strode into his office, his secretary started to recite his schedule while he sat down and became lost in his laptop screen. I watched his every move, trying to decipher his body language. Suddenly, he looked up, locking eyes with me as if he already knew I was there staring at him. My heart raced as I hastily broke the contact, but Minho's voice interrupted my thoughts. "What's wrong, Yumi?" he asked, noticing my unease. "Nothing," I replied, trying to keep my voice steady. "Don't look at him like that," Minho cautioned. "He may be a dangerous man, but he won't harm us as long as we don't provoke him. And at the end of the day, nothing else matters as long as we get paid, right?" Right, I mumbled, trying to push away the doubt in my mind. In mind, who cares about getting paid? Once I con him, I'll finally be able to give my sister the life she deserves. As Minho wrapped up our conversation, I dared to glance back at Kim, only to find his dark eyes fixated on me with a fierce intensity. His jaw was clenched tightly, and I couldn't help but feel a shiver run down my spine. Firstly, he had noticed my gaze, and I couldn't help but wonder what was going through his mind. Suddenly, he said something to his secretary, and his secretary exited his office and came inside our cabin. Secretary, hello Miss Yumi, I'm Eugene, boss's secretary. He wants you in his office immediately. Wine, nice to meet you, I'm coming. I stood up and followed Eugene. God save me. Eugene left and I knocked on the door, and after getting permission, I entered. My eyes immediately locked onto Yumi, and I couldn't help but feel a sense of smug satisfaction as she nervously stood up to come to me. I watched as she followed Eugene out of the room, a small smile tugging at the corner of my lips. I couldn't deny the fact that there was something about Yumi that intrigued me. As I waited for her to enter my office, I couldn't help but feel a twinge of jealousy at the thought of her talking to Minho. The mere idea of him being near her made my blood boil, and I wanted to bury him 6 feet under the ground. But I knew I had to keep my composure. I couldn't let a new girl make me feel this way. However, as soon as Yumi entered my office, my thoughts evaporated. Her presence near me once again left me breathless, and I couldn't help but feel a stirring of attraction deep within me. She was unlike anyone I had ever met before, and I knew that I had to have her. As she spoke, I found myself being brought back to the present moment. Yumi's polite tone and respectful demeanor made my heart race, and I tried my best to remain professional. Yumi, good morning, sir. You called me? Hi, morning. Here's the file you have to complete today so I can check how eligible you are. Without missing a beat, Yumi nodded her head, understanding, and replied with a simple yes, sir. I couldn't help but feel a sense of admiration for her quiet confidence. As she took the file, I watched as she bowed politely before turning and exiting my office. Couldn't help but observe as he returned to her seat, her back straight and her movement precise. There was something about her that left me feeling captivated. She did not say anything despite the fact that I was giving her a very big task. That was an extensive amount of large files, but it looked like she took that as a challenge. I like that. As I watched from my office, I knew that Yumi was going to go far in this company, and I couldn't wait to see what she would achieve. POV. Little did he know that his newfound admiration will cost him his sanity. After a week, Wine's POV. As I am sitting in my cabin diligently working, I can't help but notice Kim's unwavering gaze fixed upon me. It is clear that he is completely captivated by my presence, and I can't help but feel a sense of satisfaction knowing that I earned his trust so effortlessly. Underestimated my own abilities, as anyone can tell by seeing him that he is already head over heels for me. Now I'm going to use his crush on me as his weakness. I am planning to seduce him a little more in order to get closer to him and finally get that confidential file. At last, this Kim is smitten. Thanks, POV. As I'm sitting in my office, my gaze is fixed upon her. I can't help but feel a sense of overwhelming love for this girl. She's the first woman to ever capture my heart, and I know without a doubt that she would be the last one. Yes, I accept that I am in love, and now she is mine, no matter what. I was lost in my thoughts when Jimin walked in and said, Jimin, hey man, what are you up to nowadays? What do you mean? Jimin, JK told me something unusual about you. What that broad told you now? Jimin, that finally we can confirm that you have interest in women. Not women. I have interest in only one. Jimin, whoa, Romeo, calm down. Well, she's perfect indeed. How do you know her? Jimin, are you kidding me? Everyone saw you always gawking at her and being abnormally polite with her, which is not your usual style. Really, if everybody already know that she belongs to me, then why TF that Minho is getting closer to her day by day? This man is really testing my patience. I have to do something about him. I felt a surge of anger rise within me. This Minho was testing my patience. I knew I had to take action and do something about it. After all, she belongs to me, and no one was going to take her away from me.